The first thing that I was starting, I wanted to know from a show of hands as to how many of you are planning to do an MBA. I saw almost 30-40% of the hands up in the air. But when I wanted to know, have you gone through the syllabus of MBA, I saw 2 hands in the air. So that is the misconception which we need to clear out in today's session. So the most important thing today is going to be, I am not going to tell you what you are supposed to do. That is not my, that's not my right. I am only here to give you all the information. The decision will always come from your side because nobody can decide better than you for your life, for yourself, right? So today we are going to just be discussing about all the options, all the questions that you have. We'll take up all the questions at the end of the session as well. The session is going to be about information. So that is what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be my opinion, so you can differ from what I say in a few respects. But so let's start off with the session. So that's a little about me for those who don't know me. I graduated from Xavier's in 2012 and I completed CA, CS, CFA, FRM, CAIA, CIPM and CCRA, CIIB, CIRA and AIM. So my designations have been primarily in finance and I'm a visiting faculty with NSC, BSc, Xavier's College, Bhawanipur College, JDBI and quite a few B schools, and I do a lot of training for CFA, FRM courses, CA Final, MS Excel on a global front. And also I do trainings in generally either MDP in finance or MS Excel training for companies like Tata, Genpact, Saregama, Century Ply, Grasim and all. And we do also have a consulting part as well where we do automation, MIS valuation and those areas, finance related areas. A lot of sessions also we've been taking with Institute of Indian Association of Investment Professionals, ICAI and all these organizations. Anyways, now let's come back to you. Exactly what kind of options do you have in the future? So when we're looking at the courses, we've got CA, CS, CMA. These courses can be taken up after class 12. CA, how many of you think that CA is a course on accounts? Be honest, no one? Alright, so CA is not exactly a course on accounts because accounts is 1 paper in CA and taxation will be 2 papers in CA when you see the 3rd year. So when you're looking at the papers and all, so a lot of people have these perceptions. But how many of you think that CA karna is bahut difficult? CA is very difficult and pass hona is very difficult. Be honest. How many of you think that MBA is gonna be easy than CA? How many of you think MBA is easier than CA or pass rate of MBA is more than CA? Alright, so again, so these are the misconceptions that we need to clarify today. Because if you're looking at a B school, if you're looking at the top 10 B schools, say for example, assuming a 500 average seating capacity in each of those B schools, we've got about 5,000 seats over there in the top 10 B schools in the country. We're talking about India right now. Out of those 5,000 seats, there were 2.36 lakh CAT applicants in the last year. So 2.36 lakh people took CAT examinations. I agree that once you get into the B school, there is a 99% probability that you'll clear. Understand until there's something absolutely wrong with you. There is a high probability that you're going to be clearing out of your B school. But what is the probability of getting into a top 10 B school? That people do not check. How do you build a profile that is going to get you through a B school in the 3rd year? How do you build a profile? Suddenly you're going to be spending 3 years to take just a CAT examination. What is the probability of getting in? So there are a lot of things that you need to think about before you're making a decision about making a career choice. There is something that you need, there are a lot of factors you need to consider. So again, that's what I'm trying to do, trying to remove all the misconceptions that you have. So start getting very open-minded to the discussion today and start understanding things. You don't have to listen to me. There'll be 20 people you're supposed to be talking to and you are supposed to be taking a decision yourself. You have the internet in front of you. You can absolutely use it, research yourself and then take a decision. कम से कम 3-4 दिन तो research करो अपना 3-4 साल आगे का decide करने के पहले. Right? That is what is lacking. So CA, CS, CMA will be the 3 courses that can be taken up immediately after graduation. CA is going to be focused on all the areas. It is one of the most coveted designations when you're looking at India. CS is going to be more so focused on the law section. So CS is going to be a company secretary. Again, you can take it up after your class 12 and it is going to be focused on law. And CMA is focusing on the costing part and again it can be started off after class 12. All these 3 degrees will be having 3 levels and we'll discuss more in detail. Next you have, just a second. Next you have your CFA, FRM and CAIA. When you're looking at these 3, they're called the triple crown in finance. and you can start pursuing them. I'll discuss the eligibility requirements and all. CFA may be towards the third year of your graduation. FRM, there is no criteria, eligibility criteria to be a graduate. And CAIA, you would need finance knowledge in order to do CAIA. So it has to be preceded. It's not like an eligibility requirement, but you need the knowledge of either CFA or FRM or something in order to start with CAIA. Otherwise, you'll find it very difficult. Other than that, we have, we have MBA, Masters and PhD. These are the postgraduate options that you have. If you want to take up an MBA in the future, you will have to appear for your CAT examination, take your CAT examinations at the end of third year. And immediately after third year, you will be able to pursue your MBA program in one of the colleges. Again, the problem over here is getting an admission into a very good B school. So you will have to take a call as to what do you define as a good B school. At what level of B school would you be willing to take an admission, otherwise not. So say for example, you can decide, okay, I will I'll take my CAT examination. Before the results of CAT is out, you will need to take a call that only in the top 5 colleges I'll be going. Only in the top 10 colleges I'll be pursuing an MBA. Only in the top 15. So you need to decide as to what level of college would you be willing to take up, or you would want to compromise, or you would want to defer or try another year again by taking your CAT examinations. So you need to take a call on that. Masters, again, you would be starting off with your masters post your graduation. You can pursue your masters. What is the difference between a masters and an MBA? Masters would be to do more into academics, research, teaching or research. So that is academics or research. These are the two fields that you would be looking at when you want to pursue masters, as against MBA. MBA would be a little more on the business side, more on the practical side, and the placements would be more on the, again, on the corporate side, as against your academics and research for masters. So you need to again distinguish between the two. And PhD is something you have to you can pursue after your masters are done. In India, CA is considered as masters, and you can start with PhD even though you have not done masters, and if you have done CA course. In US, there are colleges which allow you to pursue PhD after your CFA is completed. So CFA is considered masters in the US, and CA would be considered masters in India by most of the colleges in order to pursue PhD. Anyways, that is a little far-fetched, so we'll just move forward. The next one is going to be, you can pursue law, actuarial sciences, civil services, or social work. Now you'd find it odd that I mentioned social work in the midst of all these things. Now generally when you're looking at the law course, you must have appeared for a CLAT examination, and you have tried to get you must have tried to enter into college immediately after your class 12 if you want to pursue law. In case you have not done so and you want to pursue your graduation first and then you want to get into the law designation, you can also do that. The number of years would be lesser. You can start immediately after your graduation, you can start working and parallelly start studying law in a college. Again, the law college, the most important thing with law would be which college are you passing out from, what kind of internship or what kind of practice are you looking at. When I'm talking about law, I'm not necessarily talking about just the criminal law part. The law would be also referring to your corporate law. Say for example, there is a case on Vodafone because of the tax case, because of the tax part. Who is going to be fighting that? You need the legal department over there. Say for example, Nestle with respect to the lead content. It's not a criminal law. It is going to be with respect to your food laws and all those laws in the country. So you need corporate law also to fight the legal cases and all with respect to a company. So that law is what we are going to be discussing about. Actuarial sciences, if you're looking at a career in very high level of statistics and insurance, you would be looking at the actuarial. We'll discuss these things in detail, don't worry. I'm just introducing you to the different options that we have right now. When you're looking at the social work part, now I'll just give you an example. There was this friend's friend, and he wanted to pursue something. He wanted to do an MBA from one of the Ivy League colleges. He wanted to get into Harvard, and he planned 3 years. He was running an NGO. There was this lady. She was running an NGO with 50 people under her for 3-4 years or something. Her GMAT scores were not very good. Still, she was admitted into Harvard because she had shown exemplary performance in the social area, leadership skills and social work. So social work is also going to be an addition. There are colleges which require you to complete compulsory number of hours of social work as a part of their syllabus. And it is important. You understand there is a different level of experience that will be added to you if you are pursuing social work. You may not be pursuing this as a career. Politics is also a career, which is also a very, I would not say lucrative in terms of money, but in terms of contribution if you want to make, and someone wants to pursue politics as a career, that is also something that someone can take up. Politics is also a career option. At least we need to recognize that, right? Not in a negative manner, but in more of a positive manner. You need educated people in politics as well. So social work, NGOs and all can lead you there. Then we have different designations, like say for example ACCA. So ACCA would be like an equivalent of CA but from the UK institute. So we will discuss about that as well. CIMA would be Certified Chartered Institute of Management Accounting, would be more of a CMA equivalent or a cost accountant equivalent in the UK. When you're looking at CPA, CPA would be the CA equivalent in US. So now when you're looking at, say for example, ACCA, CA and CPA. CA is the CA Institute's degree, CA degree in India. If you want to sign the balance sheet as a chartered accountant in India, you have to be a CA Institute member from India. If you want to be able to sign balance sheets, to do financial reporting, to conduct auditing work in the US, you have to be a CPA from US. There is no exemption that you get by doing CPA over here or by doing CA over there. For ACCA, you get a lot of exemptions. So there are about 14 papers in ACCA and you could get up to around 9 papers or so exempt if you want to do ACCA. But then as an ACCA, you cannot have a signing authority in India. ACCA is covering more of IFRS. Now we have accounting standards. CA Institute gives us accounting standards. We have to follow that in India. ACCA is talking about IFRS. IFRS is the accounting standards that is followed all over the world. Now in order of the way globalization is happening, all the countries are trying to have their accounting standards like that of the IFRS, to have a international convergence. So India is replacing its old accounting standards with new Ind AS's, Ind accounting standard, Ind AS, that is more like IFRS, that is almost 90-95% like IFRS. So what happens is that if you do CA over here, you have more or less the knowledge of IFRS because you'll be appearing for the new curriculum. If you're appearing for CA now, it's very close to, it's going to resemble the IFRS a lot. You'll be gaining a lot of exemptions from ACCA. ACCA can sign in maybe 140 countries or so. I don't remember the exact number. You can sign as an ACCA, you can sign in more than 100 countries. But India is not one of those countries. You cannot sign as an ACCA in India. So you have to understand these things. Yes, there is going to be a signing authority in more than 100 countries. But can I sign over here? So you have to understand whether you're going to be working in India or abroad. If you're working in India, if say for example you want to get into business eventually, you would want to know the tax laws, the legal compliances and all, the auditing, the accounting standards, everything with respect to India. So doing CA would be more beneficial in that case. So you have to understand. I am absolutely not discrediting any institute over here. Of course, I am in no position to credit or discredit an institute. All the institutes have their own courses and qualifications and all. But I am giving my opinion over here. So with absolutely no disrespect or disregard to any institute. So now the others will be more of specialization. Like say for example, CQF would be more into specializing in the quants part of finance. So the specialization would come in a little later. So first of all, you need to understand finance. Then you can probably get into the quantitative side. Say suppose you want to become a market trader. So in that case, CMT would be ideal. Chartered Market Technician. But again, the trading in the markets is going to be more on the basis of practical or practice experience and less of the theoretical knowledge. But then if you want to become a day trader, not an investor, I'm talking about a trader. In that case, CMT would be helpful because that is talking about technical analysis. So we will discuss these courses a little more in detail eventually. So let's start off. And then there are various certifications offered by various institutes, maybe on stock markets, maybe on finance, on Excel. You have to understand, one, the credibility of the institute, two, the trainer, because that becomes very important. Who is doing the training? Because that is going to add value to you ultimately. And third, the recognition. What kind of placements are these guys providing placements? What kind of placements? Because you might say that there is a placement assistance, but what is the kind of placement are you providing? What level of job or what kind of profiles are you going to be helping out with? And the credibility of the institute and designation. So we will also discuss this a little later. So let's start off with certain perceptions you might be having. People have a perception that CA is a course on accounts. CA is a very, very holistic course. We are not discussing about the exam pattern or the exam or any comments on the institute. That is not why we are here. If I talk about the syllabus of Chartered Accountancy course, it has got an amazing mix of subjects. You've got costing, you've got law, you've got audit, you've got accounts, you've got taxation, you've got finance, you've got costing, you've got everything. Right? So when you look at the mix of the curriculum, it is very, very good. You understand so many things. You've got taxes also, indirect and direct taxes. Income taxes, GST. You'll be learning all about these things. So when you're looking at the content of the course, from a business point of view, it might be a very, very good, very beneficial course for you to go for. Now again, you'll have to see what kind of business are you looking at and what kind of skills are needed in that business. But taxes, accounts, auditing, all these things are something very basic which every business would be requiring. And if you think that more of managing and manpower managing, marketing, all those skills are needed, then probably we should be looking at more of an MBA. Right? So we need to understand what is there in each of the courses in order to take a call. So CA1, it is not a course on accounts. Because out of 800 marks in your final level, you have 200 marks on taxation, 100 marks on accounts. In the inter level, you have 200 marks on accounts and 100 mark is given to each of the other 6 papers. Are you understanding? So before making a perception, before taking a decision, you need to have your facts straight. CFA is a course on stock markets. That is another perception which people have. CFA is not a course on stock markets. CFA is a course on finance. Even if I'm working in a company and I want to understand, how to raise capital, which projects to invest in, how to manage my finances, how to look at, like say for example, an exporter wants to understand how is the impact of a dollar exchange rate going to be affecting his profits and how to manage that. So you would need to understand finance. So all the financial decision making, when you're talking about finance, we are referring to CFA. So it's not a course on stock markets, it's a course on finance. When you're talking about MBA, people have a perception that MBA is a course on finance. MBA is not a course on finance. MBA is Masters in Business Administration. The first year of MBA is going to be, now again you understand, more than 90% of the people in the B schools, in the top B schools when you're checking, engineers, 80%, 90% of the crowd is going to be engineers because they have better mathematical skills and they generally tend to occupy the 90% or so seats in a B school. Now in the first year, they are taught basic accounts, the accounting, taxation and everything. Organizational behavior, HR, marketing, you'll be having subjects across all these disciplines. In the second year, you can choose a specialization, which could be marketing, which could be operations, finance or HR or anything, any other stream, strategy. These are the specializations which a B school would be offering in the second year. So MBA is not a course on finance. It will have finance subjects along with marketing, HR, OB, etc. And you would be choosing a specialization in the second year. So it is not a course on finance. So we need to understand these things. So let's start off our discussion with the CA course. So generally when you're starting off with Chartered Accountancy, we have a little bit of changes, quite a bit of changes that have been made recently. So now if you want to give, you have 3 levels that you need, you have 3 levels to clear CA. Your foundation, inter and final. The foundation level you'll be able to appear after class 12. Say suppose you appeared for your class 12 exams in March, you'll be able to appear for your CPT, which was known as CPT earlier, as foundation now, in the month of December. So you'll need to wait 6 months, prepare for 6 months before you're able to take exams for your foundation course. You have 2 MCQ papers, objective papers, and 2 papers are going to be subjective in nature. So accounts, maths, law and economics. So a lot of overlap will be there with the syllabus of your class 11 and 12. So there will be relatively similar syllabus with respect to class 11 and 12 and foundation. So foundation would be relatively simpler. The pass rates are going to be approximately 40% or so. So it's going to be easier. It's going to be easier. But again, now because the paper has been removed from an entire MCQ paper to a part MCQ and part subjective paper, you will have to work a little harder. Right? And the institute, I believe, is trying to make the foundation little for more filtering maybe. That's my perception, or maybe making it a little more difficult for you to pass so that you're better prepared when you want to sit for your inter examination. When we're looking at the inter, the subjects in the inter exams, you have accounts and there is an advanced accounts. So we have two papers on the accountancy part. One is going to be cost. So one is going to be law. When I'm looking at law, we are talking about company law. When you're looking at company law, how the directors are supposed to be appointed, what are the rules and regulations applying to the company, the audit rules and all. There would be ancillary laws, there will be allied laws as well. That would be Negotiable Instruments Act, Contract Act. Maybe when you move towards final, you'll have the Foreign Exchange Management Act, Competition Act. Would you allow the merger of Sun Pharma and Ranbaxy? So we need to study multiple different kinds of laws. There will be laws with respect to banking regulation. There will be a law with respect to insurance company. There would be a law with respect to pensions, gratuity. So there are multiple different kinds of laws. Of course, the law would be more so based on your company law part. The focus would be more on the company law part. Sale of Goods Act. So a lot of different legal provisions and all you'll have to study in order to conduct business. So it is going to be business centric or business related laws over here. When you're looking at taxation, it's going to be a mix of your direct and indirect taxes. Income taxes becomes your direct taxes, which is collected from the payer, the person who's bearing the taxes directly. And GST is your indirect tax that is going to be collected indirectly. Ultimately, the consumer is bearing the GST, but who's making the payment to the government? The companies. Therefore, it is an indirect taxes. So therefore, all the tax laws is going to be covered over here, and more so in more detail in your final level. Auditing. Now, when you're looking at the company form of business, the shareholders do not run the company. We people are owning 100 shares, 200 shares, 500 shares of multiple companies, but we don't run the company. The company is being run by the management. So there is someone who's supposed to be checking whether the company has prepared the accounts properly or not. We don't want another Satyam scam, right? So you need the auditing done properly. So the chartered accountants are going to be hired. It's only the chartered accountants who can do the auditing work and put a signature that the accounts of the company has been made accurately following the accounting standards. There is absolutely no fraud or concealing or something of that sort. And we will be giving an opinion. We will be providing an opinion whether according to us the statements have been prepared properly or not. So we will be going through that part in auditing part. IT and SM generally is a problem for the students. They don't like this subject, IT and SM. IT is your information technology. Now you understand that we cannot afford, data is becoming very important, especially with Zuckerberg in the news with all of the data related issues and the way he's being grilled right now. You understand how important the information technology, the IT security part can be for any company. So IT part is going to be relatively theoretical. I know people find it a little irritating. And the SM is your strategic management. It's going to be a little theoretical in nature, the paper, so I'll not get into too much of its application. Advanced accounts, again, it's going to be again the accounting part, partnership, all those accounting, amalgamation, merger, accounting standards. The syllabus has increased when you're looking at the inter part. There is a lot of accounting, there's a lot of accounting standards and all. A lot of things from the final level that has been moved to your IPCC level. That is your inter level. And then you have your FM in economics. Earlier we used to have 50 marks cost and 50 marks FM as your paper combined, but now we have a 60 marks FM paper and 40 marks business economics along with costing, that is 100 marks now. So instead of 7 papers, we have 8 papers in the inter level now. When you're looking at the FM in economics, FM is talking about finance. When you're talking about finance, I'll discuss the details more when I will be talking about CFA. But when you're looking at FM, valuation of equity shares, valuation of bonds, debentures, how to have your capital structure, what amount, what percentage should be equity, what percentage should be debt. So understanding all those things. So all the finance, capital budgeting, which projects to invest in, which project is more profitable. This project is a 3-year project which will give me 20 lakh profit, but this is another 5-year project, but it will give me a profit of 27 lakh. Now how do you compare the two? The duration of the project is different, the profits are different. Now how do you make a comparison? So capital budgeting, portfolio, how do I make my investments? How much money, suppose I have 1 lakh rupees, how much money do I put in your bonds, how much do I put in as an FD, how much in your equity shares, how much in real estate? Right? So all those things comes into your portfolio part. That is finance, FM, which is going to become SFM in your final level. And economics, business economics is going to be very similar again with your class 12 or your graduation level work. International trade, gross domestic product, GDP, international trade, public finance, basically monetary and fiscal policy. So it's only for 40 marks. There will be a certain sums and all also. Now, understanding economics for business decisions is very important. If you cannot make a forecast as to how will the dollar rupee rates be changing, how do you expect yourself to make profits as an importer or an exporter? Because if you're an importer or an exporter, you will be affected by the dollar rates. So you need to understand international trade. You need to understand, should I manufacture more inventory or less inventory? You need to understand how the economy is performing. Now you'd be hearing your parents and everybody talking about, market manda chal raha hai. The markets are not doing very well. So you need to stock less inventory at that point of time? So maybe our parents take these kind of decisions without maybe knowing the exact terminology. But they know these things. That will come from experience, from knowing the surroundings, from knowing the economy. Why do you think every day everybody is, we find our parents definitely reading the newspapers early in the morning. You need to develop that habit. I'll discuss that also. You need to start reading. It's very important to know about what's happening in the economy. Otherwise, how do you make decisions? Whether it is your own business or even if you are doing a job somewhere, it is a business, it is a larger business of which you are a part of. And if you're not able to perform, you will not get the bonus, you'll not get the promotion, you'll not get the raise. So you need to know about what's happening in the economy. That becomes very important. So that's why economics. In the final level, we'll see the subjects are going to be the same. We've got finance over here and finance over here. We've got the law. We've got taxation split into two, direct and indirect taxes. We've got the same cost paper. ITSM has been removed and it has been replaced with your elective. There will be 6 papers. So there are 7 papers which are the same, which are more or less the same as before. Of course, the knowledge is going to increase. When you're looking at the accounts part, we'll have more of company, holding, subsidiary accounts and all those accounting as against your partnership and amalgamation and all. You'll have more accounting standard, Ind AS and all being covered in your final level. When you're looking at finance, we'll have derivatives, we'll have portfolio, we'll have mergers, acquisition, lot of different readings with respect to finance, a more advanced level of content. When you're looking at law, again the company law will be much more magnified. You'll have securities law, SEBI's law, right? Listing, say for example bankruptcy code. If a company is going bankrupt, and nowadays so we are seeing a kind of an environment where we see so many companies defaulting on their payments. So we need to study that. Advanced level of auditing standards. When you're doing auditing, when you're performing auditing for companies, compliances, all these things are becoming very important, right? So how do you do that testing? So that becomes a part of audit. Direct and indirect taxation, again you understand GST has become such an important area of study because it has been recently implemented. So everybody is trying to understand that. Your GST will be covered in indirect taxes and income taxes will be covering not only personal taxes. Personal taxes was more so in the level 1, in the inter syllabus. In the final level, the company taxes, charitable trust, how are they going to be paying taxes? The companies, different kinds of companies will be having different kinds of exemptions. So all those things. Mergers ke time pe taxation kaisa hoga? So all those taxation related queries we'll be studying over here. Assessment, provisions, penalties if you're not filing the tax returns, all those things with respect to taxes. In the electives you'll be given 6 options. 2 papers are with respect to finance. So one is risk management. Since risk management is becoming such an important requirement today, I'll discuss that again later with the FRM. Then you've got a paper on capital markets, you've got a paper on accountancy, you've got a paper on other laws, you've got a paper on international taxation. So depending on what you find more interesting with respect to your intercurriculum, you can take on your elective based on your area of interest, based on your what you want to specialize in. Based on that, you can take a call on which elective you want to choose. Now, one of the advantages that I personally feel I had with respect to pursuing chartered accountancy was that I did not have to study for college at all, because everything with respect to college subjects were taken care of in the CA curriculum. Another advantage that I personally faced was that in the inter level, all the subjects were introduced. And now I was in a better position to make a decision with respect to what do I enjoy. I understood that I don't like taxation at all. It's my personal opinion. You can have a great career in taxation. You can make a great career in law. I cannot, because that's not my area of interest. My area of interest was finance and I went on specializing in that. So you need to understand that you have to pursue something that you enjoy studying, that you enjoy doing. Because ultimately, even after your studies are completed, for the rest of your life, you are going to be working in that area. Generally that is a trend. right? So you would want to choose a subject, you would want to choose an area that you are going to be enjoying the most. So I understood that I have a particular affinity for finance, and I really enjoyed finance, and therefore I went on to cover finance, went on to pursue finance in future. So that is one advantage, that it's kind of introducing you to multiple subjects. A lot of students, when I interact with and I ask them as to what do you want to do, and they're like, I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to understand what I like. What are you doing to figure out? Nothing. So you have to first of all understand that if you want to, you have to take a step forward, right? You have to experiment, you have to try, you have to do something in order to understand what I'm going to like in the future. If you're not liking anything, if you're not doing anything, how would you know whether I like this or I don't like this? By doing CA Inter, I understood that yes, I like finance. And I want to complete CA, definitely, because there's so much of hard work I've already put in. And not just that, it is a very important designation. I would learn so much more about accounts, cost, law and all, and there's so much to study. And I'm studying everything with respect to business. If I want to evaluate whether to buy a company or not to buy a company. Suppose I want to get into investment banking. I want to do the mergers. I want to do I'm getting into the mergers and acquisition department. Right? I want to become an iBanker. Don't you think it is important for me to know Competition Act? Sun Pharma and Ranbaxy's mergers was held for some time. They had to first of all clear the Competition Act provisions, and then they were able to get into it. I don't know Competition Act now. I don't remember because I've not used it. But then at least I know that yes, there is a provision of this sort, and I can always reread it, revise it, and see if it's applicable to my area of work. I might not be filing my own tax returns because that is not my job. But then the impact a taxation can have on the company, I need to do that in order to understand. Say for example, if I'm going for a merger, and if that company has got a lot of tax losses, if I buy that company, I will be getting a benefit because I can set off those losses with my profits and pay less taxes this year. So even if I'm a finance guy, I need to know these things. What if the company is doing a lot of fraudulent accounting? I need to know how the auditor has done his work, how the financial statements have been prepared, how they have been showing their accounts based on the accounting standards. If an accounting standard is changing, the company's financials will change. And if the company's financial reporting is changing, their ratios will change. So if I, as an analyst, I want to be a financial analyst, I need to understand the accounts, the way they have been prepared. Right? So you need to have a good knowledge about different areas. So this is your subject syllabus, your curriculum, your course matter.